Good morning. Welcome to Rose of Sharon on this beautiful day the Lord has given us, our homecoming for this year. We would like to especially welcome all our visitors and family who have come to be with us today through these services. We're glad to have y'all. In the way of announcements today, as soon as our services are over, we'll be having our dinner on the ground as our custom. Be over towards our fellowship hall in the parking lot over there. We do hope to have it outside if the rain will hold off for us, but if we do have a chance of rain, or if it is rain, we will regroup and probably have it inside. But we do plan to have it outside at this time. For the rest of that day, we'll have no evening services here at the church. Monday, we're looking at having the Sounds of Praise practice. Yes. Okay. So we'll disregard that part. Tuesday, we're going to have the Layman's League meeting at 7 o'clock. Okay, we'll try day number 3. Wednesday, we'll be having our evening, our nightly suppers on Wednesday. It'll be Team Fit 4 serving. The menu will be spaghetti and salad and all the sides and trimmings. We'll have evening services following at 7 o'clock. Choir will practice afterwards. Thursday, the ladies' auxiliary meets, we hope. Okay. I think that's all the announcements for the week. If you have your bulletins, there is some stuff ongoing. We have sign-up sheets in the gallery for Disney on Ice. We also have a fall raffle going on. Fall Festival is coming up shortly. We have fundraisers as well with Roadhouse gift cards and Christmas t-shirts. Christmas will be here soon. At this time, I'll turn it over to our choir. Please join us in a time of prayer this morning for invocation. Brother Mark Bone, will you have the word for us? At this time, we'll turn it over to our praise band and bring some music for us.
Good morning. So glad that y'all could be here with us this morning. Everybody will please stand and join in helping us sing this song this morning. The words are going to be on the screen. It's Blessed Be Your Name. I know y'all know it, so sing loud this morning. Blessed be your name, land that is plentiful, where your streams of abundance flow. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name, when I'm found in the desert place. Though I walk through the wilderness, blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. And when the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be your name, when the sun's shining down on me, when the world's all as it should be. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name, on the road marked with suffering, though there's pain in the offering. Blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. And when the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. And when the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, come on church, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the seated.
Thank you, Dan. At this time, I'd ask you to open up your bulletins, and you'll see a prayer list we have on the inside. There are many names here. Many of them we know the problems, many of them we may not, but the need is still there. Yes, Ms. Carroll. Okay. Rusty Holiday. Some of the other names that were mentioned this morning were the Preston Price family and his passing. Jackie Rogerson, Nina Leggett, and Gary Leggett. Is there any more we need to remember this morning? Teresa Price. Kathy Copeland. Any more? Irvin Mazzell, will you have a prayer? Okay, if you will, please open your hymnals or look to the screens behind me, and we'll have hymn number 772, When We All Get to Heaven. Please stand. We'll go to our tithes and offerings at this time. Amen. I would now like to introduce our Sounds of Praise to bring our special music.
Standing on this mountaintop, looking just how far we've come, knowing that for every step you were with us, kneeling on this battleground, seeing just how much you've done, knowing every victory was your power in us, scars and struggles on the way, but with joy our hearts can say, yes, our hearts can say. Never once did we ever walk alone.
As part of our homecoming service, we want to remember 3 members who have gone on to be with the Lord this year. James Albert Williams left us on January 9th, leaving his wife, Sherry, dedicated children, Tammy, John David, and Marilyn. His pride and joy, his grandchildren, Bailey, Olivia, Braden, and Allie Mae. His parents, Mr. John and Miss Faye. James' family has been part of Roads of Sharon family for 5 generations. James made his living by working with his hands and tilling the land as a farmer, alongside his father and son, which I'm sure gave him great joy and satisfaction. He served our church as being on the usher board and provided a smile and a kind word to the friends and visitors alike, both who come. He is missed by us all. Margaret Rawls passed away on June 13th. So much could be said about this godly woman who loved her church. Many of us older members remember her as teacher, as she taught Sunday school for over 40 years. She was also a loyal member of our church's choir and ladies' auxiliary. Her faithfulness to her church was inspiring because she was physically unable to attend church. Her heart and soul were still present here. She is missed dearly, but there is joy in knowing she is with her Creator and pain-free. Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Joe, Frankie, Stephanie, and Steve. The Reverend Connie Bryant Hines, Jr. went to meet the Lord he loved and served on July 20th. Bryant was ordained in the original Free Will Baptist Church in 1979. He served 4 churches in the coming decades and had 7 years of service at the Cragmont Assembly in Black Mountain before coming to Rose of Sharon in 2007. Bryant touched many lives throughout his ministry. He served Cragmont by providing leadership for the General Youth Conference for 30 years. He was a leader in our denomination by serving on many boards and then later as the moderator of our Central Conference of Original Free Will Baptist. Bryant also loved gospel music by singing in different groups throughout the years. I'm sure he enjoyed the time he spent with his father singing in his younger days. Bryant was more than just a preacher to us. He was with us when we were in the hospitals. He lifted us up when we were low. He was our shepherd. He had a servant's heart. He led us into a building program, which was not an easy task. And with Bryant's motivation and leadership, we now enjoy this beautiful sanctuary that surrounds us. We still pray for the family, Sharon, Seth, Caleb, and Holly, his mother, Miss Lorraine, sisters Donna, Darlene, and brother James, and Miss Lynn. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Brother Frank and then bring the morning message to us.
When Paul called me, I told him that I had a brother named Paul, so I've got 2 brothers in Christ. What a good day it is to be here at Rose of Sharon with you on this occasion of homecoming. And I appreciate that song y'all sang. God is faithful. Every day he is faithful to all of us, provides the sun, rain, and the life that we have. What a great God, a mighty God that we serve, who holds us in the palm of his hand and declares his eternal love for us as his beloved children. As I look at you today, I ask myself, where in the world has time gone? I'm having asked some of you who your grandparents are to know who you are. That tells me something about age and about the time, doesn't it? My goodness, how time has passed on. and what great memories this place holds for me. The great saints who have passed this way, who have touched my life and touched the lives of many of you who are here in this place today. As Brother Jesse and I were out in the vestibule talking about, and Henry, I look back and I think about the wonderful meals your mother could fix on days we put in tobacco. Man, she would prepare a table for 40 people, and we ate like 40 people. Wonderful, wonderful memories, good things. But here at Rose of Sharon, I committed my life to the Lord and began my spiritual journey here in serving the Lord. And from this place, I received the call of the gospel from Christ and the God to go out to preach the gospel, strengthened and upheld by the prayers of so many saints who were here have now gone on to be with the Lord. Wonderful, wonderful memories, wonderful good day to come together and praise His name. I'm glad to have with us today some of my family, my sister, her husband John, and Gladys from Dorothy, rather, not Gladys, from Plymouth, and my niece Shirley. I spent the night with them in Greenville, and Loyal, we're glad to have them with us, visiting with us. And also, it was good to see Phil Cowan and Betty from Durham have come a good ways to be with us today. Betty was married to Earl, and we're glad to have them with us. It's good to see all of you today as we come together to celebrate on a good day and thank God for His great blessings that He has given to us. And what a beautiful facility that you have here. Again, I came to the groundbreaking. I came to the dedication service, a place to worship God and to remember God's goodness and God's faithfulness to all of us. But again, as I look, I'm aware that Father Time waits for none of us. Wonder where it all went in such a hurry. I'm getting older does have advantages. It also has disadvantages. I went to my doctor this past week for a checkup. He asked me how I was doing. I said, well, as far as I know, I'm doing fine and half sane most of the time. He said, well, that's good. Stay that way. I remember the words of Dr. Robert Jeffries, pastor of the First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, made this statement: life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. You know what? There's a real truth in that, isn't it? You wonder where in the world time goes. And you learn a lot of lessons as you get older, hopefully. And a few things I have learned along the way, and one of the things I have learned is the older I get, the less I like long-winded preachers. I think my age has a great deal to do with that, so I'll try not to be long-winded. And I've become very conscious of that. Dr. Elton Trueblood, that great Quaker theologian and philosopher, visiting the college when I was chaplain there, gave me a great compliment in that regard. He said I was one of the few people that he'd ever met in his life, and he was 80 years old, who knew what time it was. Of course, part of my insanity is about time, I reckon. But nevertheless, good to be with you. I've looked forward to this, and on this occasion, to come together, to celebrate, have fellowship, and to be with you on this good day of homecoming at Rose of Sharon Church. So having said what I said about being long-winded, let me get on with this thing. Take your Bible and turn with me to the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews in chapter 12. The book of Hebrews chapter 12. As you turn to that, the book of Hebrews, some of you will recall, the book of Hebrews is, of course, after 1st, 2nd Timothy, and Titus. But some of you will recall that in chapter 11 of the book of Hebrews is the great parade of the saints of faith, like Abraham, Noah, whatever. And so the writer of Hebrews goes through this long list of people who lived their lives by faith, who walked by faith. And then he comes to chapter 12. and in verses 1 through 3. He writes these words after having reviewed all of these list of saints who lived and walked, served God by faith, and who knew that faithfulness of God in their lives. So share with me the reading as you follow this, verses 1 through 3. Having given now in chapter 11, Paul, whoever wrote this, makes that transition. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, and for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. May God add his blessing to the reading of his word. As we come together for homecoming, we are indeed surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. We are surrounded by those who walked by faith and now serves as our guides as we walk the walk of faith as well. And today we celebrate homecoming here at Rose of Sharon. And we too can say we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses here at Rose of Sharon. Great witnesses, those who have walked this way, those who gathered here in 1896, the handful of saints who began the ministry of Rose of Sharon Church. They began the journey. They carried the torch, have passed it on to you and to me. And so as we think about that today, I want to call your attention to three things very briefly as we think about this occasion of homecoming as we come together here at Rose of Sharon. Number one, to remember our roots. Homecoming is a time when we come together as the people of God to remember our roots, remember those saints who have touched our lives, those people who have been close to us, and many of you family members and friends who have been to this place, who have made contributions here with their lives and their commitments, their vision, that we might have this place of worship here today. We're here today because those saints of yesterday followed God in faith. They had a vision to fulfill. They had a torch of truth and light to pass on to future generations. And today we gather here because of their faith, because of their vision, their commitment, and their sacrifice. Those saints of the past met God here, and that meeting changed their lives. And so today, we come together, we meet here, and thank God for those who left us their footprints to follow. And we enjoy the fruits of their labor, their toil, and their sacrifice. Some of you older folks, and I won't point out who you are, you know those of yourselves, can remember Aunt Lily Pollard Harrison, for example, one of the last charter members of this church. And as I came here today, I let my mind roll back to those years past. Remember some of those saints who touched me, those who made a difference in my life and who had an impact. Think about Brother Marvin Cowan, Brother Jack, that graciously provided transportation for me over the years when I was a little boy. I would walk through the woods path over to their house and get in their car with them, and I made number 8 of the children, and Jack and Miss Allie, 10 of us would get in that little car, and we'd pack on top of one another field and come to Sunday school. Great memories. But that was days when people touched my lives and I didn't know the contribution at that time they were making. Their mother, Miss Bessie Cowan, a great saint, Miss Ernie, Miss Beck, Wynn, all of these people, Seth, Jim, and so many, Mr. Gilbert Rawls, my Sunday school teacher, Sophia, Miss Maggie. I can see Tommy Lawrence Robinson stand in front of the old church. He was the adult Sunday school class. He propped that foot up there, and boy, could he teach a Sunday school class. Now, he could go to it, and it held you spellbound. I can remember those things so well. Miss Ophelia Taylor and Mr. Lester, and some of the great songs he would bring to us, and some of the great pastors. And many of you, of course, remember, Charlie Hamilton was here during the years as I was a child, J.B. Nairn, Bruce Barra, and of course last, Brother Bryant Hines. Great pastor, provided good leadership as we face the future. Great heroes of the Christian faith. And I can remember back in, I think, 1958, one of the older ministers of our group at that time, the Reverend E.L. Abrams. I doubt if anybody here remembers him. E.L. Abrams. He was born in 1870. But when he came here, I think it was 1958 for homecoming, he was right at 90 years old. And he brought the last message that he brought before his death the next year. But I remember that very well. A great saint of God who made a great contribution. He was pastor here from 1930 through the summer of 1942. Great man of God. We are surrounded, says the Hebrews, we are surrounded by such a great number of witnesses, so many others that time does not permit me to mention, and I could, who've touched our lives, who made such contributions. But we come here today to homecoming, to remember our roots, and to thank God for his faithfulness, who provided so many of these people, of saints of God, who touched our lives through their faith, their devotion, and their sacrifice, that we might have this facility today and might have this church in this community. They paved the way for us and set the example for us, and have passed the torch on to you and to me. And what precious memories. As we think about this great truth, we are really, literally surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. Indeed, says Jeremiah in chapter 3, verse 19, we have a goodly heritage, says the prophet, and we do. The second thing I want to mention about this occasion of homecoming, I think it is especially for us here at Rose of Sharon, is to remind you that you have a great ministry in this place. You have a beautiful facility. You've had good pastoral leadership, and as you seek another leader in that regard. But you are here today as the people of God in this community. You are here to serve the Lord. And I believe God has a good work for you to continue to do in this community. For you are to be his light in this community to the people around. There are souls to be saved. There are needs to be met. There are children to be nurtured and to guide, hungry to be fed, the shut-ins, the elderly. God has yet a good ministry for you here at Rose of Sharon. And so we not only think of the past, but we come together for homecoming to celebrate the present and to remind ourselves that God is not yet finished with his work in your midst. There is work yet to be done. There is much work of the kingdom to be done as you are the presence of God in this place. And this is a hallowed place, a sacred place, a place stained by the tears and prayers of many saints who have labored here as they sought to live out their lives as faithful and obedient followers of Jesus Christ. You have the sacred trust to carry that ministry of Jesus into the future. To you, God has given this ministry of healing and reconciliation. And those around you can look and see and say, surely the Lord is in this place, for you are his co-workers, says the apostle. And so his work will continue here through your vision now, your commitment and your labors, says the apostle, as you continue to serve the Lord here through Rose of Sharon. You have a great ministry as you go about doing, as Paul says, our Father's business. Indeed, homecoming is a time to remind us and to remember that God has made us and that he is ultimately our true home. And we thank God for that. And so quickly, the third thing I would say to you today is that as we celebrate homecoming here at Rose of Sharon, is to remind all of us, not only do we have a present ministry, but we are a people who look to the future. We are a people who live day by day in the power of his resurrection. You are here as the people of God in this community who will continue that work. God is not yet finished with his ministry here. He has work yet to be done through your hands and through your ministry. God is still actively involved in that ministry here. And this third part I want to stress to you, as we look to the future, we work here. We continue to walk that walk of faith, walking faithfully in that obedience to God. And the gospel, the writings of Paul and all the apostles tell us, in the book of Revelation, God is not yet finished with his story. God's not yet finished with his story. He is currently writing his story of our human existence in this world and in the world to come. We serve a resurrected and living Christ who tells us that we are the children of God, that we have a future with him far beyond anything we can ever imagine or even dream of. The God who made us and called us his beloved has given us the promise of a life and of a new heaven and a new earth, a whole new creation, a life that is beyond our limited understanding at this point, where we will join all of our loved ones at that day when God has finished all of his work on this earth. The Apostle Paul says, eye hath not seen, ear hath not heard what God has prepared for his children. And I believe that today. I believe that today. We are surrounded by an infinite love far beyond anything we can imagine. An infinite love that loved us before we were born and that will take us home to be with the Father. This life is a school, a training ground before we depart to take us to that heart of God. Homecoming, special time in the life of a church. It is a time for us to remember not only the past and affirm what God is doing in the present, but homecoming is a time to remember that we're on the journey too. That we're on the journey with those saints that have surrounded us all of these years and on whose foundations you build and on foundations with whom you minister today. King David sums it up in his promise, or the word of promise, in these words in Psalm 22, verse 4, when he says this, in you My ancestors trusted, and you delivered them. That is a wonderful affirmation of King David of God's faithfulness. As we come together, surrounded by such a great crowd of witnesses here as we celebrate homecoming, surrounded by this great crowd of witnesses who have gone before us, who have provided us the vision for tomorrow and the future, and who leads us by their prayers, their labors, and their commitments. And so today, we build on their foundation and labors as we seek the city of God. We labor in the Lord's vineyard and go about His kingdom work until that time comes when He says to each of us as His children, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter ye into my rest." May God bless each of you in the work and as you continue here at Rose of Sharon is my prayer. In our closing hymn this morning, we'll sing first and last stanza as we affirm our faith together. First and last stanza. Savior, like a shepherd lead us. Let that be our song for the future.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out this morning and being with us through these homecoming services. And I would ask you please stay and enjoy the food to come. I'm sure there's plenty out there for everyone, plus probably another 100 or 2. We'll have our benediction in here, but we're going to save our blessing of the food till we get out there, give the ladies and men time to get the table set. And we'll get everybody's attention when we're ready to serve. This time, Brother Phil, will you have a benediction?